Alright, let's spontaneously jump into the video as we see my favorite birds taking flight majestically across the Detroit River. If you're wondering what they are ducks. You can tell by the way they flap their wings, and they usually fly really low to the water. Maybe not all the times of the year, but a lot of the time. Anyways, here, welcome. And we're here hanging out again. And now I'm doing things inspirationally based now, which means that when something comes to mind, I'm just gonna act on it. The inspiration, it doesn't have to be every single thing. Like, I don't have to go and jump on that picnic table out there. Okay, maybe I will later. But for now, we are going to talk about different jobs and stuff, and society, and beliefs, and the 13 moon calendar, and how everything ties in. So, I only had one idea in mind, and then all of a sudden, everything else connected. And I wasn't planning on doing an entire video on all of the things together. But let's try to do that anyway. Okay, so the quote-unquote main idea of society is to sell your time for money. And obviously not everybody, because pretty much everything that we see around us, every object, was created by a business owner, an entrepreneur, whatever you want to call them. Like, literally everything around you, every object. It is hard pressed to find something that wasn't. And even, there's homemade things that you make yourself. But those are different. They're still created in a sense. But anyways, the majority, even when you make something yourself, you could even think that as you're your own boss creating that. So, even though there are the majority of people who, think that a 1260, and by 1260 I mean 12-month, 60-minute clock, the Gregorian calendar, timing, frequency, and calendar. Those types of jobs kind of fall into that. And as well as I had mentioned before, the concept of selling your time for money. And now there are some pros and cons to that as well, that I don't need to dive too deep into. One of the things is reliability and stability in a quote-unquote 1260 job. And the cons, though, of a 1260 job, they are kind of hidden, but once we uncover them, it's very, very easy to see why so many people are under so much stress and struggling with mental health issues. And it's because of this whole thing, this whole system that in essence was designed to keep people in a sense, enslaved. It's I know it's I don't want to offend anybody by using that term, especially when um, slavery is still a thing in this world, and it's not just a thing of the past. Although, when I use the term enslaved, I also do recognize our own free will in all of this. And sometimes it may feel as if we do not have that free will. Although, it seems as though we do. And in this, there are a few things that contribute to all of this. Although I'm going to be focusing on how everything kind of comes together. So, and there are a lot of things around it, like beliefs run deep and they are subconscious in many ways. Some of them are out in the open. And there is some work of some other people, such as Teal Swan. I very much think that it is amazing work. And I've been learning from it for 4.5 years now. And in using the methods and uncovering trauma and resistance and beliefs. And with those three things combined are definitely some of the key elements to success for healing. Yes, I am also a Reiki master and a high Reiki grandmaster. Reiki is a tool, although it is kind of like a catalyst, but in the sense of a catalyst sometimes can't do anything on its own. Like, let's say you can heat up metal to a very high temperature to where it is able to be bent more easily, although without exerting that force on the metal, then then the catalyst does nothing. In a similar sense, not only in that one, because that was a alright analogy, but not the best. It's really, I feel that most of the fragmentation and beliefs are the main things about that, and Reiki can also help catalyze us being able to see certain aspects of ourselves, trauma, beliefs, and in that sense, it can be used as a very powerful catalyst to pinpoint where we can and need to listen to ourselves and heal. Anyways, a little divergence there. And if that's new to you, I recommend looking up Teal Swan video. You can look up fragmentation. I believe it says the title, Fragmentation, the Worldwide Disease or something, or Universal. And I don't get endorsed by any of these people that I say or paid or in any way. It's just what I believe is and have seen to be the most effective means of healing. So, that being said, I mentioned that just in the way of sometimes that can get in the way of what society expects and what we think is needed to be done in terms of having a job, etc., even if it may not be in alignment. Jose Arguelles once said, "Who owns your time owns your mind. Own your mind, own your time and own your mind." Who owns your time owns your mind. Own your time and own your mind. And to just think about that, the profoundment of that statement. Because, how many times have you had to feel like, wow, I have to get up right now because I have to go somewhere? Yes, I recommend reframing things so that you don't have to's and you have I want to's. And, but you can't just say, like, I want to do this if you don't want to. And a lot of people, and it's not to say that, and this isn't there shouldn't be any jobs thing. I definitely recognize the need for all these different employees in society, and I also know that not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody is, meant to do that. Other people are meant to be employees. Some people, they really like being able to relax and take orders and not have to be, um, you know, not have to think for themselves, not have to make decisions for themselves or other people. And, everybody's destiny is different. And what you like is not necessarily what somebody else likes. And what you really loathe, somebody may enjoy with a passion. And that's how the uniqueness of everybody is. And not even, humans, but all other beings too. And so, I was thinking, this is actually the analogy that spurred this whole inspiration. This one right here. So, imagine a bunch of toddlers, a bunch of kids are 4 years old, and there's like 40 of them in a room. And there's only enough toys. There's 40 different toys for 40 different kids. Actually, let's make it 42. No, 43 since we're at Kin 43 today. So there's 43 toys and 40 kids. And, granted, not all these kids are going to like the toy that they have. It's like, there's like some kid playing with a dinosaur and really he wants to be over there painting, but there's only, well, that person's using that toy and there's only 3 left there, and I don't want to play with the etch and sketch, and I don't want to play with the ball. I want to paint. But it's like, well, I have the dinosaur here. Well, I guess I'll hold on to the dinosaur because I have the dinosaur. And I guess playing with this is better than nothing. But, this creates like an atmosphere of, there's so many people who don't have the actual job that is in alignment for what they want to do. And recognizing that you don't want to be doing what you're doing is the first part. and recognizing what you actually want to be doing is the next part, although it's not always easy. Personally, I've actually struggled with that, of knowing what I really love doing. I've had to sift through and be like, all right, how much do I really like doing this, or why am I doing this? Peel back the layers. Although, in essence, through many different ways of self discovery, self awareness, experiencing and trying new things in the world, you can discover what you really want to do. And once again, going back to the analogy of the kids. So, there's all these kids playing with the toys that they don't want. And then, let's say the one kid goes and is like, you know what? I don't want to play with the the dinosaurs. I was imagining a triceratops in my head. He puts it back out there. So, there's 43 toys, right? And 40 kids. And there's a ball, an etch and sketch, now a triceratops, and let's say a little choo-choo train. And so now there's 4 things there. And then boom, let's say there's a kid he's playing with I don't know why it's so hard for me to think of children's toys at this moment. He's playing with blocks, but he really wants to play with the the triceratops that is now available. So he's like, oh, grabs that, and then now the blocks are available. And then some kid who wants the blocks is like, oh, I'm gonna take that. And it can create a chain reaction of all the kids getting the toy that they want. And that's what happens when we free up space. Because when we take up something in the universe that isn't ours, that is that we don't want it, but we're having it anyway, well, we're potentially denying somebody else of that. But that's the thing in society that's so hard, with all the increases of the cost of living going up ever higher all the time, and people living paycheck to paycheck. It's difficult for them to detach from their source of, well, living, their source of safety and stability. But it's like one person at a time. Maybe if all the toddlers all at once just dropped all their toys, yes, there may be the potential of everybody getting what they want. Although you can't just drop everybody from sorry, there's like a street sweeper kind of guy coming in here. Everybody can't just leave their jobs all at the same time and everybody gets the right jobs all at once. Although for us to live in society and to live as a society in alignment with, I just didn't want to film the worker there. So for us to have a society where, essentially nobody feels like they have a job, but everybody is contributing to society in the way that best suits them. We used to live in tribal communities, and maybe tribal isn't the best word to use, although we lived in group communities for the majority of human society. So whatever you were good at, whatever you excelled at and wanted to do, you did that for the tribe. And in exchange, other people did what you needed for you, that they were good at, that they wanted to do. But it's like this whole trick happened in society where they made everybody want to think that the way to get what you want, and what you want actually, is your own house, your own space, and it's made it so that this expectation is that everything in the house and everything in your life, aside from some things that you really can't do it on your own and you have to go and pay somebody to do it. So now in society, it's expected that you need to go and work somewhere else. So spend anywhere from 4, 8, sometimes even 10 to 12 hours away from home, away from what you want to do, and then be expected to do all the things that used to be done for you by the society: preparing food, washing clothing, cleaning in general, watching the kids, teaching the kids, gathering food, like all that stuff. And now all that lands on the individual person, who is expected to do that on top of selling their time for money so that they can just have enough money to buy said things. And that's when people start to feel like they're not living anymore. That's when they start to feel like robots. And all of this is like, it's a product of the Babylonian Empire from thousands of years ago. And it's not clear to see, but this is the very basis for the 13 moon calendar and the law of time to counter this. Because the Gregorian calendar is irregular, and there's very little studies on this because it's not something that people have thought to study. Although from the galactic point of view, your programming device is the calendar. So the calendar, so time is the weather of the mind. That's another quote from Jose Arguelles. Time is the weather of the mind. Interesting. So we have all this rain out here, as you can see, or may not see. Maybe the Detroit skyline over there sheds a better view. The weather is not good out there. There is not skateboarding going on right now, but there is wonderful knowledge being shared. So, if time is weather of the mind, and the Gregorian calendar creates chaos of the mind, then that must mean that the weather of the mind is chaos. Interesting, isn't it? And so when you consider that, then you may want to consider checking in on your cognitive biases about the calendar. Like, there's no real reason why we should be using the Gregorian calendar. It was designed to pay taxes, and there's no actual meaning behind it. but the 13 moon calendar, which is in essence a tool to help us free from the chaos of the 1260 frequency, then we see that it's pretty essential. The 13 moon calendar is 13 moons, 28 days each, all equal, all perfection of harmony in nature, with one day out of time on July 25th of every year. And it's very easily converted, the Gregorian into the 13 moon calendar. They actually tried to pass a movement to change the calendar back in, I forget what year, in the 1930s or something. But it was not passed because the Vatican did not want it passed, because it would mess up with their religious holidays. Interesting how that works, eh? That the church has that much power that they govern our calendar. And so that's why you should, another reason why to question it. The 13 moon calendar helps harmonize us with higher states of perfection and fourth dimensional evolvement. It's like taking the escalator instead of the stairs. It's like the elevator instead of the stairs. That's a better analogy. Not only are you avoiding stairs, but you're avoiding those like stairs that are like a maze and you don't know where to go because it's chaotic. And so those are some pretty important reasons, and there are more, there are many more, as to reasons why people should find authentically what they want to do, exactly what they want to do, and go for it wholeheartedly. There's also, if you want to look up, a video called Means to an End Attitude, I believe is the title. And because that is what a lot of people have that with work. It's, I'm going to do this thing that I don't like for now to get what I want later. Although, that's, it's like signing up for pain in order to get a little bit of pleasure. Anyways, and as the goose flies by, I bid you all good day, and I thank you for joining and listening today. In Lakesh and Namaste.